Hello, everyone. I hope your week is going wonderfully. I'm here today to kind of give you some additional resources to kind of help your virtual learning scenario. So, to help you out today, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on Google Forms and Google Quizzes. Now, I will admit I am 100% not the Google Form and quiz expert. So, I'm going to link my own very quick tutorial for you, just some of the basic tips and tricks that I like to use. And then I'm going to also have links below that talk about some additional tutorials that are kind of on more of the mastery level. So that's what we're doing today. If there's anything I leave out or that you know is a tip or trick, please let me know and I will be sure to pass it along to the audiences. So to get started, we need to be on our Google Drive. In your Google Drive, the easiest way to get to your forms is to come over to this menu option. You're going to have to probably scroll down past the Everyday menu and click on Forms. When you click on Forms, it will take you to the Google Form homepage. The first thing I want you to know is there are two options here. You can either click on blank quiz or just blank. And there's also some templates that you can work with too. I always prefer to start with just blank because when you start with a blank form, you can actually manipulate that into a blank quiz, which is really cool. So we're going to go ahead and work on a blank form. The first thing that you see when you get to your blank form is kind of your title, your description, and your question. So we're going to go ahead and title this practice. And then this is where you insert directions for your students. So if this is a quiz about a certain subject area or a certain topic, that is where you would want to insert your directions. Okay, so now looking at this page, what are some of the things that we initially see? Right here, I can add a question by clicking on this plus button. That is how we get more questions. Okay, so now I've got two untitled questions. For the sake of this, I'm just going to do question 1 and then question 2. Also, you'll notice when you click off of a question, the extra details for that box go away, kind of save you some space. When you're looking at your question, the one thing Google Docs does, or Google Forms, excuse me, does, is it tries to predict your answer format. So right now it's predicting multiple choice. If I wrote out, what is your name? Let's just do ahead and do that now. It will, you'll see how it jumps to short answer. So I can tell it to manually change the style of questions using this menu here, or it will just predict for me. I would recommend that if you're going to use some of these more complex options, like the grids, to demo it yourself before you give it to students and take some time jumping back and forth to the preview and the non-preview options just to make sure it looks correct. You can also have them upload a file too. So if there is something they need to submit to you, maybe they are completing a worksheet on their on a piece of paper, they can take a picture of it and then upload it to you too. So that's how you change your different question. Another really cool tool, let's say that question 1 right here is exactly the perfect format and you're going to repeat that format. You can click on this duplicate option and it will copy and paste all of the features of that question into another question. If you decide you don't like it, you can delete the question. And if this is a question that students absolutely 100% need to answer, then click over here and toggle it to the required option. So students cannot submit the form or move on to a different section if that is not toggled. You can also come over here to import questions. So if you have questions from a different form or a Word doc, you could insert those. You can add additional title and descriptions. You can add an image. You can also add a video of yourself. So if this is something where they need to respond to a video or maybe a recording of you, you can import that as well. Additionally, if you want your students to do this quiz in sections, then you can come over here and click on Add Section. And basically that creates like a virtual page break and your students can't go on to question 3 down here So I'm going to click this. I'll probably call this part 2. And then I add a question. And students cannot go on to question 3 until they have answered question 2 and question 1 in section 1. So that's a really good tool, especially if you have students who like to rush ahead. So these are kind of your just regular settings. Um, I can add descriptions to each question. So if I want to add an additional description, I can do that. So maybe question 2 has more directions that your students need to follow. I can also have it where students go to a section based on their answer. So question 2 is multiple choice. So let's say they select option 1. I can have them jump to section 2, or I can have them just skip section 2 and submit the form. So depending on what I want students to do, maybe question 2 is vital to their understanding, and if they get it wrong, I'm going to have them jump to section 2, which is an additional review. But if students are getting that answer correct, then I can just have them submit the form. They don't need any more review. So that's a really nice kind of advanced feature. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I can also have it shuffle the options. So my options will kind of get mixed around. That way students can't look over at their friend and maybe see what different answers they're getting. So that's kind of your generic Google Forms features. Now I titled this a practice quiz. The easiest way to make this a quiz is just to come up here to your settings. And where it says quizzes, I'm going to toggle this to make it a quiz. Now it's going to allow me to have my quiz gradable. So let's go ahead and click on General. Something in the settings you should probably be aware of in general is you probably want it to collect email responses. That's going to require students log in or using their USD 437 Gmail. And also, if you forget to ask for their name, now you can track it that way. You can limit it to one response, that way students aren't taking it over and over and over again. If students do not do well on it though, you can uncheck this and let them take it again. You can let them edit and submit their response again if they didn't like something they submitted. But like I said, if you are doing it just one response, that won't really correlate. And you can have them see summary charts and text responses. I can select presentation. So let's see, I can have them show the progress bar. They can see how far they've come. I can have it shuffle the questions. I can have a yay, you made it confirmation message when they finish. And then over here are quiz settings. I can either have the quiz release their grade immediately, and we're going to talk about how to grade the questions in a second. Or I can select after manual review. And basically what that means is I'm going to look at their grade first, and then I'll send it to them. That way they're not seeing something if there was a typo. And they can also, when they finish, they can either automatically see what they missed, what they got right, and their points, or I can hide that from them too. It all depends on how much you want them to see. Now, this locked mode on Chromebooks feature basically only allows them to work in this one tab. I do not know how this will work with students being at home on personal devices on different Wi-Fi networks. If any of you are experts on this, please let me know. I will do some research and add that into our additional information below. So this is our practice quiz. So one thing that's really cool about once you get on the quiz form is this new option pops up called answer key. And what your answer key is going to allow you to do is 1, add points. 2, you can select which answer you want to be the correct answer. And that will tell Google, hey, this is the correct answer. Now I know what the right answer is. I can add answer feedback. So I can tell them if their answer is incorrect. I can give them a hint. I can say, this is wrong. Or I can say, yay, you did it, good job. And I can also add an additional, let's say they got the answer wrong. I can add a link to additional tutorials or a video to additional tutorials. That's a really great feature. On the short answer version, there are ways for you to have Google grade it yourself. To show you that, I'm going to actually show you a practiced quiz I made for a different teacher. This is reading teacher who works with spelling with the students. So this was just kind of a silly spelling test we made to practice. Um, for this spelling test, it has just word number one. The students would listen to a recording and then it would say word one. We included a definition of the word, and then right here is where it would be the short answer. So for Google to grade this, what we did is we clicked on it, and where it says answer key, we selected it, and we gave it all the options of the word that a student could possibly type. So the answer to question one is snail. So students could type it in all little letters, a capital letter, and then little, or all capital letters. We gave them all three options, and then we selected mark all other answers incorrect. And as long as a student didn't alternate big letter, little letter, which I doubt they would, it's going to show it that it's a correct answer. That's a really nice feature. Um, there are some additional features in here. So if I click on this three dot and I select response validation, this is a little bit above my comprehension level, and I'm going to find an additional tutorial that talks about it. But what's really nice is you can select these different options, and then like for example, if I have a number, I need it to be equal to or a whole number or maybe a range of numbers. I would then type in that number, and if they get it right, it will go on. But if they get the answer wrong, it'll pop up a custom error text. So I can type try again, or maybe give them a specific hint to help them out to kind of help with their comprehension. And they can't submit the quiz until that pops up right, which is a really nice, a nice tool. Like I said, a little bit over my comprehension, but it helps. So let's go ahead and preview this. So across the top here are some additional features. You can preview it, you can customize your theme and make it pretty. But when you preview it, you can see that if I type snail in all capital letters, I can do that, but I'm probably going to get it wrong. But I could type it like this or whatever. So I'm going to go through and complete my form. And when I submit, what I then do is, as a teacher, I come back to the building page of the form and I click on responses, and it's going to show me all the different student responses. So the summary page is really good for collecting data. I can see all the frequently missed or questions that my students are working with. That way I know what I need to reteach. I can look at each individual question, or I can look at individual responses. So you can see that it's marking each word correct, and the ones that she left out were incorrect. But it helps to track what they get right and what they get wrong. You can see here is with the capital S, snail ends up still working. And this allows me to auto grade it for myself. I can also print it. So if I need to see a paper copy, I can delete a response and have them start over again. So it's a really great tool for grading your quizzes. The final thing you're going to want to do is share your quiz with your students. So you come up here and you click on send, and I can either directly email it, or I can do what I typically do. I prefer to click on the link, and then I like to have it shorten the link, which it's not doing at the moment, which is fine. And then I copy it. There it goes. I copy the link, and then I either share that in an email or Google Classroom post, or I can actually embed it. What's really nice though is if you're working with Google Classroom, you can go to the forms page on Google Classroom, or you can go while you're working on Classroom, you can add a form. So you don't even have to do any more than this. So I hope this gives you a nice overview on Google Forms and Google Quizzes. Maybe you saw some different features you hadn't seen before. If there's anything you know that I left out, please reach out to me and let me know. And then, like I said in the comment or the descriptions below, I will have links for additional, more in-depth features that maybe a little bit more advanced users would like. Thank you.